Alrighty guys, just setting up this camera. Here we go. Alright, think that's good. Let's get into it. Sensei Swole checking in for the first Q&A video for the channel. Now, if you have me on Instagram, you've seen I have done some Q&As on there before. I actually have a highlight reel on my Instagram where I've done some questions and answers previously. So I'm actually going to go through and answer some of those questions, as well as some I got recently as well on another Q&A pop-up I did on my Instagram story, asking you guys if there's any questions you want me to answer on a YouTube video. So here we go. I'm going to dig into about 5 or 6 questions that I have here. I'm going to pop them up on the screen as I answer them as well. And yeah, just give you guys my honest answers on some of these questions, which relate either just to my journey into bodybuilding and my weight loss background, and some general questions that you guys have as well. Alright, so I'm going to dig into this first question, which is, was it mind over matter when it came to your transformation? So with this one, I would say yes, but not straight away. This whole fitness story and journey kind of started off not how people would have imagined. So I didn't start off just wanting to train and become a bodybuilder or anything like that. Out of high school, I just had some spare time, and I actually used the gym as just a pastime and a hobby initially. I was quite overweight at this stage, when I started training about 4 years ago. I was at the 130 kilo mark. Training was just a pastime in the start. Over the months, I felt like I was, starting to notice a lot of changes in my body, and also just feeling a lot better. The satisfaction of getting in a good workout, putting in that work in the gym and actually seeing results manifest over a couple of months with that weight loss in the first year and a half of my training. It honestly became a really positive part of my life. And yeah, from that point, when I started noticing that these small efforts are adding up into a bigger change, physically and mentally, I did start to, mentally dig into a place where I just wanted to push the boundaries of what I could do. So this is where I'd say the mind over matter definitely came in, because I didn't want to set a benchmark for myself. I wanted to keep setting mini goals, and once I hit that, just proceed to the next one. I never wanted to kind of stop or sit still once I hit a new goal, whether it was a personal best on a lift or dropping some weight, which is why constantly, and even now, I'm still trying to progress and get even better all the time. After about 2 or 3 years of training is when, the mindset really kicked in. This is when I was getting to my leanest at about 80 kilos or so from that 130 mark. And this is when I had actually considered as well, going for a bodybuilding competition. And this is when a lot of the mental side kicks in. With the competition prep, after doing so much dieting, I felt like the food aspect wasn't that hard for me anymore, and I could stick to a structured diet, pretty easily. In saying that, I'd say the mental aspect of prep was quite hard. I was feeling fatigued and quite depleted on some days, especially getting closer to the comps, as well as not being able to see my mates as much as well. But the mind over matter really kicked in when, you'd be able to compare photos from the start of the competition prep towards the end and actually see those changes manifest, and honestly just kind of blow your expectations of what you thought was achievable for yourself. And yeah, now I just want to strive to be even better than last year leading into my competition this coming October. Why did I go vegetarian? This is another good one that I get asked quite a bit. So if you guys don't know, I've been a vegetarian for about 10 years now. As weird as it sounds, I didn't actually have a reason for when I went vegetarian. It was about 10 years ago. I was 13. Alright, so this time I just wanted to kind of, experiment and see how I'd go eating only vegetarian-based foods pretty much. And yeah, so I made the switch. Parents thought there was something wrong with me at this age because there was no real reason behind it. They thought it was either for a girl or because I saw some animal get slaughtered or something like that. But that was not the case. I just wanted to see how I'd go without it. And it's been 10 years now. I feel fine. Energy is fine. Mental focus and everything is okay. I get my bloods done as well. And yeah, I don't honestly plan on going back at all at the moment. A lot of people do say that it could benefit me in terms of the whole bodybuilding aspect and putting on more muscle. But in my opinion, at the end of the day, as long as you hit your macros, your protein is protein, I'm happy where I am right now, and I don't plan to go back anytime soon. The next one is a bit of a tricky one because it says, how many calories were you consuming when you were cutting? I've cut obviously at different phases. So as I've been dropping weight over the first 3 years of my weight loss journey, I did them in phases of dropping weight and then maintaining. And this was mainly because obviously I wanted to have periods where I was actually putting on muscle as well, and also where the loose skin comes into play, because I knew that if I dropped the weight too quick, it could kind of exaggerate or worsen the extent of my loose skin. So pretty much each time I had done a cutting phase, off the top of my head, I would say probably the lowest I had dropped to was about 1800 or so calories. Otherwise, I'd be hovering between about 2,000 and 2,200 calories. But this was obviously including some cardio, whether it's post-workout after my weights on an incline treadmill, which I'd usually do a 20-minute incline walk, or possibly like I do on my competition prep, which is a 40-minute to an hour power walk every morning. Now, for males, I wouldn't recommend going below 1,800 calories. If you feel like that might be the case, you might actually need to reset your metabolism, go back to a higher point, add some cardio or something in, or consult with a coach if you do get to a point where you're plateauing and you need some guidance. And for females, I would honestly recommend just don't drop too low. I've heard some females drop into about 1,200 or below. That is not healthy, not recommended. It may offer you some weight loss, but it's in the long term, it can actually damage your mental and physical health. At what point in my weight loss journey did I realize I wanted to enter a competition? So this was at about 3 years into training, so entering about 2020. At the start of 2020, I had planned to go for a competition in September. COVID happened, lockdown happened. The thoughts of competing pretty much just went out the window for me. But then in about July, once the gyms had reopened, after 14 weeks of not training because of lockdown and not having anything at home to train with, I trained for about 4 weeks, leading just into the start of August, and that competition was announced to still be going ahead. But rather than September, it was going to happen in November. Knowing that I would be just about 15 weeks out, I consulted with my coach. We checked in. At 15 weeks out, I was about 11% body fat, and he gave me the green light saying I was ready to go ahead. So at this stage, I had just gone through several phases of cutting and maintaining weight and been at the leanest point I was. And I had obviously had some slight thoughts of competing, as I mentioned before, as well as having some mates tell me that I should just go for it and give it a crack. 3 years into training, the start of 2020 is when I considered to go for a competition. I did go for it, competed in November, managed to come first in the juniors division and third in the men's open novice division as well. And I plan to compete again this October, not only in one, but about 4 competitions coming up. So stay tuned for that and follow the Instagram account to stay up to date. This next one is about my physique. It's asking, how did I shape my chest? Someone had a similar body type to what I used to look like, and can they get it like mine? So this is where it gets a bit complicated, because genetics do play a role in this. Some people may be dominant in certain areas of the body. I know for myself that I'm more dominant in my chest, arms, and calves. This does mean that I have some weak points I recognize, such as my lats and my rear delts, which I've been hammering away at this year during my training in prep for October 2021 when I step on stage again. But in terms of trying to get a chest similar to mine, I would say keep your training up, keep your diet on point. If you are still out of weight, that's a bit above, seeing visible definition, try and work your way down first. If you're ever, not sure about how you should be training, or you want an example workout, feel more than free to hit me up. Or just look into even some articles on bodybuilding.com which outline some chest workouts, which are honestly the staples I would go to when I started out. Other than that, in terms of shaping the chest, I would say something you should keep in mind when starting out is don't neglect your upper chest. Because a lot of people don't train the upper portion of their chest, and then they end up getting good pec development, but they lack a border on the top. So essentially, they lack a defining shape of the actual pecs from the top leading down, which can make it sort of look like a sagging chest, or just not something that's nice and square or block structured. Other than that, referring to the lower portion of the chest too, I would obviously recommend doing some decline bench press, as well as some decline flies, which are really good for getting that outer scoop formation. And if you look at my last YouTube video as well, I did show some tips on the high to low cable flies to get better activation of that lower pec, involving a scooping motion of your hand when you perform the exercise. So check that out if you haven't already. Now the last one for this video, which is asking, are there any steps for reducing fat all around the body? You cannot spot reduce. That's one thing I want to make clear. You can't do 1,000 sit-ups or pull-ups or push-ups and expect to see, extra weight loss in certain areas such as your chest, abs, or back. Some people are more prone to hold weight in certain areas of their body, such as, let's say the inner thighs, their lower back, or even the midsection, which is something with me. So until I'm deep into my competition prep or, shredding period, I usually don't see that midsection lean up or, get quite defined. So you just got to keep putting in that work, and then the results will speak for themselves at a certain point. You can't rush things like these, or like I said, try and spot reduce that weight on certain areas. It just won't work, guys. So that is the last question for today. So this was short and sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel more than free to hit me up in the comment section of this video or on Instagram. I'd love to answer more questions like this, whether it be replying directly to your messages or creating another Q&A video like this. Other than that, I'd really appreciate it if you could drop a like on this video, maybe even just drop a comment to let me know you've watched it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I would really appreciate if you could. Check out the previous videos if you haven't already. That's all for today. I'm about to knock out. Sensei Swole, checking out.